views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with me or not. And I think there are about 27 comments to the blog posting about today's show on there already. I thank you for posting whether you agree with yours truly or not. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio. Well, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. Welcome to the show. Well, as you may imagine, today we will talk once again about swine flu. Tomorrow, unless something very untoward happens between today's show and tomorrow's, we'll give you a respite from this issue because we're going to give you an opportunity to come to us and assess Barack Obama's first 100 days in office. I'm sure we'll get a lot of positive comments about that and a lot of negatives because the country's pretty well polarized over the issue of this new president, unfortunately. You would think that in a time like this there would be a uniting of the nation, but I think not, unfortunately. But for now, yesterday, as you know, Dr. Davis Liu was our guest. He explained to us from a medical standpoint what's going on with the swine flu and what we can do to protect ourselves and what you can do if, unfortunately, you get it. But I thought, frankly, that yesterday's coverage right here on News Talk Online was, and this is not patting myself on the back, but it's pretty obvious to any of us who have participated in that and who have been watching some of the coverage, especially on cable television here in the United States, that it was about the best thing you could have. A full hour, no commercial interruption of a physician answering our questions about the swine flu in a non-excitable but fair with a non-excitable and fair demeanor towards the issue. But if you listen to some of these men and women on the cable television, they're breathless as they discuss this swine flu epidemic that could turn into a pandemic. And oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's bad enough as it is, ladies and gentlemen, without having to hear them report things breathlessly like this about it. And as I pointed out in my blog, how would this country have accepted Walter Cronkite's reporting that John F. Kennedy was dead? He got the phone call while he was on the air. He hung up the phone. He said, very solemnly that it is his sad duty to inform his audience of the passing of the president. Like that. Not, breaking news now, exclusive, I got it first. This is not the time for hyping stuff up. Now, I heard a great report today on BBC Radio. The presenter, as they call their news anchors, was talking to the spokesman from the World Health Organization, asking him some very poignant questions in the typical British understated way. And I got to tell you, without screaming and hollering and interrupting them like we see so many of my colleagues here on this side of the pond, he pretty much nailed them. Just through his questions. He didn't have to say, you're an idiot. He just asked him questions, and the guy, abba, was his answer. And I was very, very, shall I say, underwhelmed by the response from the World Health Organization. It's got me thinking, when you juxtapose these two issues, what is being done by government and how the media are covering this, there's some real concerns on my part. For example, why is it that Americans are being told that non-essential travel to Mexico should be canceled? Cubans are being told you can't go to Mexico, and yet the border between Mexico and the United States remains open. Wouldn't this be the time to try to quarantine those who have this swine flu, yes, obviously it has traveled to the United States and to Israel and to New Zealand and to a half a dozen other countries. There's no question about that. But isn't this the time to try to confine it? Yes, it's a porous border, but wouldn't it be best to minimize one's exposure to this until we get a handle on it? I mean, the experts are talking about a possible pandemic. Now, I know, again, the media and the experts blew away out of proportion with the swine flu and with with the avian bird flu and with the one from the mosquitoes, I forget what it's called, that they were all screaming and hollering about. And there was the sky is falling, West Nile virus. And the sky never did fall, and you get to the point where you become immune to their concerns. But I really think that there is a potential here of a real problem in across the globe. Now, let me just hit you up with a couple of headlines. There are 2 deaths in California that they are investigating as possibly swine flu related. If, in fact, they turn out to be, those would be the first verified in the United States. Up until now, all of the fatalities have been in Mexico. More swine flu cases are being reported in the United States. If you're thinking about buying travel insurance because you're going to be flying and you're afraid that the flight might be canceled because of swine flu, too late. The travel insurance companies will not cover you for flights canceled for swine flu because it's now a pre-existing condition. Sort of like if there's a hurricane that is been reported, you can't get travel insurance in case it's been canceled due to a hurricane. If no hurricane has been reported, you can. Too late to get travel insurance to cover the swine flu. The Associated Press reported today that the swine flu could kill millions of people. To me, that's kind of scary, and maybe scary reporting. There's an interesting story about a couple from Scotland who went to Mexico for their honeymoon, came back with the swine flu. There's another family where, I think here in New York City in Queens, where 5 members of one family have the swine flu. That's an indication that it is passing from person to person pretty well. Now, I asked the question on the blog today about the media coverage. And like I said, there are more than 25 responses to that. I'm going to read 1 or 2 of them here and then go to your comments. There are a lot of you waiting in queue. I feel the media is being repetitive and people will become numb to the cautions, one person wrote. I agree, Gary, with the options of closing the U.S. and Mexico borders as a simple solution. However, there seems to be political entities that refuse and resist that option, whatever the conditions are. Another person wrote, wasn't it FDR who said we have nothing to fear but fear itself? Well, I think that's true, especially when that fear is stoked by the media. So not particularly high grades, at least in the first 2 comments, to the media coverage that we have seen with regard to the swine flu. What do you think? Let's go to Jim in Michigan. Jim, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.